Welcome, guys, to another edition of Mind Elevation. Today, I will be discussing the lessons from a multi-billionaire. And the multi-billionaire I will be speaking on today is Mr. Warren Buffett. If you guys do not know who Mr. Warren Buffett is, he's an investor and the CEO of his own investment company. And he's worth $85 billion. Can you imagine that? $85 billion. Today I will be discussing the lessons that I learned from his life and his business career, and also shoot it over to you so you can possibly apply it to your personal life and your business career. And we will make this pretty short, sweet, simple, and I'll try to sum it up to the best of my abilities. I have it all written down, so if you guys see me look down at my paper, just continue to stay focused and listen. I'm just basically reading everything that I wrote down because I wrote a lot, but I will be summarizing. So let's get to it. The number one lesson I learned from Mr. Warren Buffett was to become financially independent while you're young. See, Mr. Warren Buffett, around 9-10 years old, he started off investing. You know, he started his own entrepreneur ventures. Mr. Buffett was doing newspaper routes. He was investing in the bubblegum machines and putting them into barbershops, and the barbers were paying him money to store his bubblegum machine into their barbershops. He was, what else he was doing? He was selling Coca-Colas door to door. He was involved in many investments and entrepreneur ventures that helped him accumulate $9,800 in savings by the time he was 18 or 19. Can you imagine that? $9,800 at 18 years old. Got half of your college tuition possibly right there for your first year. So the biggest lesson I learned right there was to become financially independent while you are young. So for you guys out there who are very young, teenagers, early 20s, we need to start navigating and focusing on side hustles. Staying out of debt in order to invest our money wisely. Save our money. Make our money work for us so that we can become financially independent while we are young. Instead of waiting until we're 65, 70, or maybe even 50 to enjoy all our wealth and don't have much energy to enjoy it. Much energy to be able to, dish out their wealth to go on vacation and whatnot. So instead of waiting until you get old to become financially independent, try to practice that today and stay out of debt, especially bad debt, man. Just stay out of debt so that you can be able to accumulate as much wealth as possible and become financially independent while you are young. Lesson number 2, believe in yourself. One thing that stuck out to me about Mr. Warren Buffett, he knew what he wanted from day one. He was always passionate and interested in entrepreneurship and investing. So he took initiative from day one, took action, and got experience in those fields as a kid, as I explained in lesson number 1. And one big thing that stuck out to me, one example, was when Mr. Warren Buffett decided to teach a night class to graduates at his university when he was an undergrad. And he took a speaking class, to prep to get better at his public speaking. And he decided to teach night classes on investment principles to graduate students. Now, from the outside looking in, you may be looking at it like this. What makes him think he's credible enough to come in and teach grad students about investment principles when he hasn't even finished college yet? He hasn't even got experience in investment. This was someone from the outside looking in may say. And nowadays, you got social media and so many of your peers around. They will throw out those types of feedbacks to sway you from your vision and sway you from your dream. But that goes back to believing in yourself and pursuing it anyway. That happened to me a few years ago. But Mr. Buffett believed in himself, He practices public speaking, and he decided to host that night class. And he had the experience to back it up, like I said in lesson 1. So always believe in yourself. Don't let those outside voices sway you away from your dream. Lesson number 3. Listen to those who are already successful in your circle. You see, it's very important to surround yourself around people who are already successful, especially in your field of interest or your line of work, for the simple fact those people can give you pointers, advice, and guidance on what you can do to get ahead of the game. They already made the mistakes. They already met their downfall. They already came up in the game. So they can be able to provide the information to you and the knowledge and the wisdom to you to where you can get on the same route and even go any further. So it's very important to listen to successful people in your line of work and in your field of study, because that's what Mr. Warren Buffett did when his father tried to convince Mr. Warren Buffett to go to college. But Warren Buffett said, I do not want to go to college. I just want to focus on starting my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. But his father told him, man, it's best to go to college, get this education, and man, just basically learn something. So Warren Buffett went to college anyway out of respect for his dad. And guess what happened? Mr. Buffett, I think, if I'm not wrong, he got his bachelor's degree in economics, I think. And in one of his classes, he met his mentor, Benjamin Graham, who is known as one of the biggest value investors of all time. And as a result, it helped pave the way to where Mr. Warren Buffett is today. So if Mr. Warren Buffett would have never went to college in the first place, he maybe would have never met Mr. Benjamin Graham, because Mr. Benjamin Graham ended up becoming his professor. So you see how it all came together? So listen to those who are already in your field. And even though Mr. Buffett was able to listen to his father was into investing also. His father had his own business. His father went to college. So be wise enough to listen. Be wise enough to think before you speak. So that's how that goes. Another thing I would like to touch on for lesson number 3 about listening to successful people. When Warren Buffett finished up grad school, he originally wanted to work for Wall Street. But Mr. Benjamin Graham and Warren's father both told him, no, you don't need to do that. Don't do it. Don't work for Wall Street. Mr. Buffett listened, and instead he decided to get a job working with Mr. Benjamin Graham in his investment firm to continue to brush up on his knowledge and experience in the investment field. And I will touch on that a little later. Lesson number 4, build your side hustle while you are working. So one thing Mr. Buffett did, he stayed focused on his vision and goals, and he continued to learn and work towards them in the entrepreneurship and the investment areas, which I told you before. Those are the 2 areas he was interested in and passionate about. As a result, Mr. Buffett started up his own firm after saving up $174,000 straight cash right after Mr. Benjamin Graham sold his business. So as I said in the previous lesson, Warren Buffett decided to work closely with his mentor, Mr. Benjamin Graham. He worked with his investment firm for a few years, learned everything he could, got the knowledge, saved up $174,000 of his own money to start his own firm after his mentor closed down his business. So Mr. Buffett had a job just like all of us do. And I know in this day and age, many of us millennials, we always complaining about working for someone else, having a job. But in reality, man, that's just something you have to do for the time being, especially if you in difficult situations in life. But if you have a job, you better make sure you are doing something that you are interested in and you enjoy and you are passionate about. because that's what Mr. Warren Buffett did. And he decided to, instead of working for a big corporation on Wall Street, he listened and he decided to instead, let me go and work for my mentor. Let me work for him. Let me learn everything about my field by working with my mentor. And that paved the way for him to save up his money, start his own firm. So build your hustle while you are still working. But while you are working, make sure you are working in that same industry or field or whatever you are interested in. You keep it together. Don't drift all over the place. Number 5, learn and work with the best in your field. I just said that. Benjamin Graham, he was a known investor, and he was known as the father of value investing. And when Buffett enrolled in Columbia University, Benjamin Graham taught there. I said that earlier. And he was also on the board of Geico Insurance back then. So Warren Buffett went to Geico Insurance, knocked on the door. He said, hey, is Benjamin here? I want to meet. I want to talk to him. So when he first went to Geico Insurance, he wasn't able to meet up with Benjamin Graham. He met up with another guy who was partners with Mr. Graham, and they basically had a discussion for hours about the insurance business. Now, I know what you may be thinking. So, Dartez, you said before that Mr. Warren Buffett was working in the field of entrepreneurship and investing. What does insurance have to do with anything? Why he decided to go that route and try to take the time out of his day to learn the insurance business? Because insurance aligns with the financial service businesses as a whole. So, like I said, it all comes back. Investing, like dealing with finances, it all aligns together, man. Just in case you were wondering that, I just wanted to share it. But so this what Warren Buffett did. He offered to work with Mr. Graham for free. But Mr. Graham declined. But Mr. Warren Buffett, he kept fighting, and he eventually accepted a job with Mr. Graham. Guess how much money a year he was making? $12,000 a year when he accepted a job from his mentor. And it was in 1954. May have been a decent amount of money back then, but still, it's pretty low. So I say all that to say this. He offered to work for free for his mentor. You see, when you are on the path to trying to get the job you want, trying to get the business you want, sometimes you have to work for free, man. You have to prove your value before you accumulate the profit. Remember that. Mr. Warren Buffett decided to offer his work for free because he knew he could bring value to the table. He knew he had something to give to Mr. Graham. Kept pushing, kept fighting for that position. Eventually got it. Even though it may was for less money than he expected at that time. Us as millennials, we are so impatient, and we got this microwave mentality where we want to be rich overnight. Life doesn't work that way. It doesn't. Sometimes you have to work for free. That's what I did a few years ago, my last year of college. I showed my value to my mentor, and as a result, this guy still calls me to this day to come do work for his business. So think about that, man. Think about it. Lesson number 6. Mr. Buffett knew exactly what he wanted, and he was hungry to get it. Warren Buffett knew, as I said this at least 5 times already, he was passionate about entrepreneurship. He's passionate about investing, the financial service industry. went to school, got the experience, worked for his mentor, started his own firm. It's that simple. In life, you have to know your purpose, know what you really want to do, focus on one thing. You ever heard of that saying, jack of all trades, master of none? Don't fall into that trap. That's what happened to me. If you put yourself in way too many industries and too many jobs, too many positions, too many different things, you are nothing but a drifter for the simple fact you are a jack of all trades, which could be a strength and it could be a weakness to you. But the wise people, the people who really become successful, they are a master at one thing. Think about athletes and entertainers. They will master their craft. Once they mastered it, then they would jump off into other things like acting, music, things of that nature. Look at Kobe Bryant for an example. He mastered the sport of basketball, didn't focus on nothing else in life. Once he finished that, now he is trying to master business and investing, film making, writing. You understand what I'm saying? You can't be a jack of all trades. Know what you want in life, focus on it, one thing, go for it. Simple as that. Lesson number 7. Take small steps that will get you to your goal faster. See, as I mentioned before, Mr. Buffett's initial goal was to work for Wall Street, but his father and Benjamin Graham told him not to, and he decided to pursue. I forgot to mention this. Before Warren Buffett decided to work with Benjamin Graham, he was working with his father, who also had his own business. You see, his father had his own investment company. He had his own partnership company. And Mr. Warren Buffett decided to work with him before he worked with Mr. Graham. So Warren Buffett was still putting himself in the financial service arena by working with his father beforehand. So, man, I sum all that up. Mr. Buffett worked multiple jobs for both his father and Benjamin Graham for years. And by the time he was 25 years old, that's when he started his business. He invested in his money and he decided to start a business, man. So I just say that to say, he took the small steps to get him to the bigger goal faster. So for you guys out there who are impatient about getting in your career field or starting your business venture or whatever, I would say that taking those small steps like that, finding a mentor, working closely, working under them, learning from them, doing some work on the side for them, it will help you get you to your goal faster, man, because you have that assistance, you have that guidance. Lesson number 8. Get your hustle on and let the game come to you. You see, Warren Buffett believed in execution. As I said before, as a kid, he continued to get into all these business ventures, continued to invest his money. You see, he didn't stall. He didn't sit back writing out a big, gigantic business plan, a business model canvas. He didn't sit back talking about thinking, oh man, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that, how I'm going to do this in the future, where I'm headed, where I'm going, what I'm doing. Hold on, let me write this down into my notes. Wait, let me go to this seminar, check out, let me learn something. No, he believed in execution. And instead of just focusing on learning and thinking, he was putting in work. He was about that action. He was out there every day putting in work. He lived in the moment, didn't focus too much on the future. He just kept hustling, let the game come to him. Those opportunities came. He was consistent. He kept striving to get mentorship from Benjamin Graham. Stayed focused on his craft. So day by day, he was working with his father, studying his degree program, He stayed in the field every day. So hustle and let the game come to you. Don't spend too much time planning, studying, thinking, but take action every single day. Let the game come to you. And lesson number 9. We're almost done, guys. If you are sticking with me through these past 20 minutes, thank you. I'm sorry, but I'm giving you some real game. I'm taking time out of my day to provide you guys with this valuable information because someone out there may need it. So if you like it, cool. If not, so what? I'm keep on working because I'm serving you. I'm giving back to you because I care about you. Lesson number 9. Educate yourself. Warren Buffett spends 80% of his day reading at least 500 pages, man, of books, of a single book. So as busy as he may be as a CEO, as an investor, Warren Buffett continues to feed his mind with knowledge, man. He keeps his head in the books, self-education. He didn't go get no PhD or doctorate or anything else. No PhD, no EDD, no JD, no MD, none of all of that. No. Self-education, which is where true wisdom lies. This man keeps his head in the book. 80% of his day is spent reading, man. Let me tell you another story, man. This is very interesting and what I've learned from Mr. Warren Buffett. At 70 years old, he read a book called 1,000 Ways to Make $1,000. And I heard this is a pretty good book. So you guys out there, you go check out that book and you may learn something. And they said since the book, even though it was written back in the 30s or 40s, one of them, it is still applicable to today. So check it out. So Mr. Buffett, Warren, he read that book when he was 70 years old, which helped him shape his business acumen and get him into investing and develop his appreciation toward compound interest. So at 70 years old, he read that book. Remember what I told you? By the time he was 9 or 10 years old, he was already investing. And he already had his business ventures. Educate yourself. And so that's it, guys. Those are the 9 lessons that I learned from Mr. Warren Buffett. And guys, I know I took a long time on this video today, but guys, I just wanted to serve you all. And hopefully some of those lessons you can apply to your life. You don't have to follow the exact same road that Mr. Buffett did. You don't have to be a follower, but be a student. So by learning some of those lessons, you can apply them to your own life. Not necessarily all 9 of them, but just a few of them to at least get you to where you're trying to go. So guys, thanks for hanging with me today, guys. As I said before, welcome to another edition of The Hustle. Earlier, I know I said mind elevation. I'm sorry, I apologize. Scratch that. But thanks for tuning in with me today, guys. You guys have a blessed day. Stay focused. Keep grinding. Keep shining. Peace.